Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hanging with Drummer Boy Jones. And tonight I have a very special guest for me, Theron Paul. And Theron is the lead singer of 77 Shakedown that I did not know anything about until my good buddy Anthony of the Hair Metal Guru met this fantastic musician. And I had went to a Jackal concert, or maybe it's even the Kentucky Headhunters, and he sent me a message. He goes, "Man, you like that Southern rock and that kind of stuff? You got to check this band out." And he sent me a link to your album on Spotify or iTunes. I can't remember which one it was, and it was amazing. So Theren has been so gracious to jump on with me, and we're going to talk about that record. And he's got I've heard a sneak peek of it so far, fantastic second record that's fixing to come out. So we're going to go over that right after this.
Hanging with Drummer Boy Jones.
Theren, my brother, how are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate all the cool words and all that. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. So, for myself included, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, what you got going on, and or how you got started. Just introduce yourself, my friend.
Cool, man. Yeah, my band's 77 Shakedown, and I'm from California, born and raised, Northern California, up where Tesla's from. They're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was, way into the hair metal in the 80s thing. I mean, I think we're pretty close to the same age. I graduated in 91.
Okay. Okay.
So, my formative years were that sweet spot between like 85 and 91, where
Yeah.
just the best music came out. So it really shaped my musical path. And, I've always been a songwriter since I was a kid, just learning the cowboy chords basically.
Yeah.
So, I learned my first song was Patience that I ever learned. And then Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And, those are just like 3-chord cowboy songs basically.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for those two songs, I probably wouldn't have gotten into writing music, because it was from there that I realized you can write songs with a limited amount of skill
Yeah.
on the acoustic guitar, as long as you have a good sense of melody and you have a creativity about how you write lyrics. So it was just one of those things. Growing up, I'm self-taught. I
Okay.
was, I didn't think I could really be in a band when I was younger, because, the first band I ever saw was Skid Row opening for Aerosmith.
Wow.
So my first taste of a frontman was Sebastian Bach in like
Right.
1990, and he's ruling the stage. I mean, he was genetically built to be a frontman
Yeah.
and an amazing singer on top of it. So I looked at that and I was like, man, that's a tough hill to climb. So I was just like, I'm just gonna write music. And then, life got in the way. And then a few years back is when I started the first album, and I started writing it. And I met Jeff Marshall, who's my guitarist, and
Okay.
he's amazing. And he has a home studio. And I met him up in Bakersfield. He was doing a gig at the Crystal Palace, Buck Owens,
Yeah.
old honky tonk. So he was playing with kind of a Southern rock band, and I loved his tone. And I went up to him, I'm like, yeah, you have a great tone. He goes, hey, I live in LA, I have a studio. And then we just started working on our first album.
Wow.
And it was fun, man. Yeah, he's just a real amazing musician. So I brought him the songs, and then we just built them up from there. I write everything on acoustic,
Yeah.
and then it just builds from there. So
Wow. Well,
yeah, a lot
I
of
don't
fun, man.
I don't know what is in the water in California, but yeah, I graduated in 90, so I'm a year older than you. And I look
Yeah.
like I'm 54. You look like you're still in your fucking 20s.
Ah,
Like,
thanks, dude.
I'm like, dude, wow. So that is so awesome. You said
I,
Bakersfield. You
yeah.
mentioned Bakersfield, and I don't, I'm from the South. I'm right outside of Nashville, and so of course I'm a big NASCAR guy, and one of my favorite drivers of all times is from Bakersfield, and that's Kevin Harvick. And I don't know if you're
Oh,
anywhere familiar with that, but I was like, oh, he's Bakersfield. Kevin Harvick, that's my favorite. So,
oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
but
I like going to NASCAR, but I don't know much about the drivers. But that's awesome. Yeah,
yeah, that's so
there's like
awesome.
a lot of Hokies and Texans that came there during the Depression, and so there's a
Okay.
big kind of like southern southwestern vibe there.
Okay. All right. All right. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, that's amazing, dude. I mean, like you said, so many songs are just three chords, and it's how you put them together
Yeah,
and the lyrics behind it. And your first record is very awesome. I mean, it's so good. If you're in the vein, your rockers are Cinderella. How do you say that? Cinderella-ish. They sound a lot, Cinderella type thing. If you want to go more to, like Blackberry Smoke, things like that. I even
Mhm.
found a little bit of hint of like Richie Sambora, Stranger in This Town, singer songwriter, kind of mixed with a little bit of hard rock elements. It was amazing, dude. I
Yeah,
can't I cannot brag on that record enough. And because I have a hard time of now, all the stuff that you mentioned that we grew up with, that you had so much passion for. Nowadays, the newer bands, they might be good, but it doesn't hit me like those bands did.
yeah,
Whereas your
I
record,
know.
yeah, your record, and I promise you, man, I'm not kissing your ass because you're on here. Your record, I was like, this is something very special. Now, there's some of it where it got a little slow for me, and me and you had talked about that, where your newer records, you sort of
Yeah,
brought it up a little bit. But so how did that you
for
just I
sure.
know you started to brush up on it, and it's your interview, and I'm sitting here talking, but how did that first record
No, no.
start? How did you start with that? I mean, you was talking about you and your guitar player, and you brought it to life. But so did you just one day say, "Fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
going to make a record"?
Yeah, pretty much, man. And thanks for saying that. That means a lot. I appreciate all your support and all that. And the fact that it's hitting you like the old stuff did, that's exactly what, I'm not reinventing the fun, the wheel with this, but I want the vibe. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of newer bands kind of miss the mark. Not that they're bad, but for me personally, I just wrote a record that I want a continuation of Long Cold Winter and Junkyard, who I love
Yes.
absolutely, LA Guns, like those second records, especially for Cinderella, Tesla, Junkyard, LA Guns. The second records that they came, their sophomore efforts were just like the perfect sweet spot for me. Of
Yes.
like it wasn't garage and it had depth and there was ballads and there was mid tempo and it was just interesting. And so that's why I like Heartbreak Station so much, that album. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was their Exile on Main Street where they had some country songs. I mean, the song One for Rock and Roll is a country song,
It is. Yes.
and yeah. And for me, Heartbreak Station, the song is one of my favorite ballads of all time. It's just, I think it's the perfect song.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it later, but Fred Corey from Cinderella played on a track I sent you, that's Sweet
Yeah.
Carolina, and he just nailed it. To have him on it is just such an honor, man. I can't even I can't even put it into words, brother.
Yeah.
So but back to the first album, I just said I had these songs, I had half of it written from years, and I had done some kind of shitty recordings of some of those songs, like Long Country Mile, years ago with a buddy of mine from back home.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I was like, I just got to make a full album out of this. And then I was kind of looking for people. I talked to Brent Woods while I was looking for people. Brent Woods from Wildside.
Yes. Yes.
I met him. I was hanging out with somebody, and she threw a birthday party, and he was there, and she introduced me, and he said he had a studio and everything, and so I was kind of thinking about that, and then I met. I never reached out to him, but I kind of came back recently and did. But that's when I met Jeff and in Bakersfield, and he said he had a studio and he just had like a cool demeanor. So I went over there and we just started cranking it out. And then half the record was old songs. And then as we were making the record, I started writing more songs. And then it just flowed. And then it was the second half of the album is like the song Kicking Up Dust. It's kind of my ode to Cinderella's, Bad
Right.
Seamstress Blues.
Yeah.
So that and a few other ones like Right or Wrong, I'm Not the One, those kind of came as the sessions were going for the first songs. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And then we wrapped it up and shot it out there, and yeah.
Oh, that man, that's impressive that all of that just started flowing out because it is a very, I mean,
Nice.
I think that's what got me. You know, you got so many talented musicians that are out there that will never make it or ever see the light of day. But songwriting is a whole different
Yeah.
ballgame, you know, and man, you've nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. But
Thanks, man.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
no worries. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
so with that first record, uh, did you go out and promote it any? Did you do live shows? Do you have a live band? Or did you just record and say, hey, I got me a record?
I said I recorded it and I'm like, I got me a record. And then I did some acoustic shows. And then my buddy Tyler Heath, he's in a band called Leather Duchess, which is kind of Dangerous Toys-esque. You
Okay.
should check out his album. I'll send it to you.
Please
Yeah,
do.
I'll send
Yeah.
you where you can find it. Yeah, it's cool. They were a great band. And I ran into him. Oh no, we met online basically during the pandemic
Okay.
because we just kindred spirits. He loves David Allan Coe. I love David Allan Coe,
Yeah.
and he loves Dangerous Toys, and I love toys. So it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So we just started talking, and then we started jamming together. We wrote a couple songs on the new album I wrote with him.
Okay.
He's singing. He's he's singing the higher parts and kind of co-leading on a song and singing the cool backup stuff that I can't do. You know, the Axl Rose, the Jason McMaster kind of, and I have Jason on songs, but
Yeah.
I love that Tom Kiefer kind of, the guy from Nazareth, McCafferty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. That kind of texture and that voice,
Yeah.
I can never do. But I like that as a background. I kind of like the interplay between Axl and Izzy on some songs.
Yeah.
You know, like Dust and Bones in 14 Years.
Yeah.
You got Izzy singing, and then Axl's kind of backing him up, and I always loved that.
Yeah.
They did Dead Flowers like that. Actually, Gilby Clarke. Have you heard Gilby's Dead Flowers on his album Pawn Shop Guitar?
Actually, yeah, yes, I have. I've got pawn shop guitars, but it's been a while. So yeah.
Yeah, so they do that Rolling Stones song, Dead Flowers, and Axl's coming in on top of it, Gilby during the chorus. And I just always loved that interplay. So
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
No,
yeah,
good.
so me and Tyler and just, did some small acoustic stuff. But when this album comes out, I'm going to put a band together and do a little West Coast tour, hopefully with Tyler, if he can. He's in another band now called Regiment. It's kind of thrashy, but
Yeah.
he's part of the band. The 7 Shakedown is whoever wants to be in the band. It's kind of like a White Snake where it's David Coverdale, but he's got players and whoever wants to come in and collaborate and do that because everyone's busy.
Yeah.
And then once I started getting these guys to be nice enough to guest on the album, then it's just like, well, this is just a concept and it's a band. I'm at the core of it. I'm the songwriter or the core songwriter.
Yeah.
And then just build it from there with whoever wants to join. And Jeff's in the band too. He's a guitarist. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
Sorry, rambling. Yeah.
That's so cool. And like I said, you sent me, let's see, one, two, three, four, five tracks, and all five of them
Yeah.
are killer. They're all bangers. You know, it's
Thanks, dude.
just how did you get, and I'll let you talk about all of them, but how did you get all these special guests that are amazing to the genre that we love? You was telling me I've got this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and I'm like, holy shit, this is fantastic. It's an all-star record.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because it sounds like when I describe it, it sounds like I'm dropping all these names, but I'm like, there's no other way to describe it other than these guys were nice enough to play on the track. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
sometimes I hope people take it as me being like, oh yeah, but no, I realize that sometimes all you just got to do is ask, and if they like your music and they like the vibe, I mean, that's what happened. Like with Jimmy Ashurst, he was in the Juju Hounds, Izzy's band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Izzy straddled in the Juju Hounds after Izzy
Yes.
left GNR. And Jimmy's a legend. He was in a band called the Broken Homes, and they were legendary. And then he hooked up with Izzy, and I always loved that Juju Hounds record. You
Yes.
know, Izzy's my musical hero. You know, like Patience, the first song I ever learned, written by Izzy. You know,
Yeah.
like so the sun will rise and set with Izzy Stradlin for me. You know what I mean? As far as songwriting goes.
Some of the greatest
So
songs
I
ever in
feel
our
like,
genre.
yeah, yeah. And I kind of feel like this album is a little bit of a 6 degrees of Izzy Stradlin, you know, because so I had Jimmy. I met Jimmy through Tim Mosier from Junkyard.
Okay.
And Junkyard was doing a show, and Jimmy was there at the Viper Room. And Tim comes up to me. He's like, I want you to meet the legend Jimmy Ashurst. And I'm like, oh man, no way. So we started talking. He's just a really good dude, like such a nice guy. I'm forever indebted to Jimmy. And so I told him I was working on a new album, and if I could send him a song. I sent him my first album, and if I could send him a song. And he said, yeah, I'll check it out. And he goes, I won't blow smoke up your ass. If I don't like it, I don't like it. He's very like real deal, genuine dude like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I sent it to him, and he dug it, man. And so I was recording at a studio in Los Feliz in LA. He didn't live too far. So I was like, well, come to the studio. He came down and dusted off his bass and killed it on 2 songs, man. I was like, it brought tears to my eyes seeing him in the booth, you know, and here I am like nobody, and this guy is just so nice enough to be on a song. So he was on 2 songs, and then from there, Pat Mazingo from Junkyard. I love Junkyard.
Me
One of
too.
my favorite bands of all time. They're honestly right up there in my top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, just amazing. And Pat, the drummer, um, he came up because I would always like I bought koozies and shit, and I would always like when I first started on Instagram because I wore their shirts everywhere, so I would post and I would tag him and stuff. So I think it was a little bit on their radar who I was because I was obsessed with them, you know, like fucking always rocking the shirts.
Yeah.
And then I met them at the Whiskey at a show, and Pat says, "Hey man, I'm playing your album," and I'm like, "Oh my god, no way!" He goes,
Wow.
"Yeah, let's do it." And he played. I think he's on like 5 songs,
Oh,
and
that's
he killed it. Like, yeah,
is
him and Steven and Fred are 3 of my favorite drummers. Steven
right.
Adler. I mean, they just got swing, man, and Pat's drumming is amazing on those Junkyard albums.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Steven. I had the pleasure of seeing Steven this past weekend, and it just brought cold chills because, like you said, Steven was the swing of Guns N' Roses, and
Yeah,
and without Steven and without Izzy, I'm
no,
proud and I'm so glad that they are where they are. But if without Steven and Izzy,
yeah,
it's just not. It just isn't. And but yeah, and you mentioned and Junkyard, that second record, what sixes, what is six, sevens, and nines?
Six, sevens, and nines. Yeah,
is a masterpiece.
I agree, dude. 100%, man.
Man,
Yeah, it's
that's and to get yeah, that's impressive, dude. That is so impressive. So, how did you get
he
to
brought a lot.
yeah, yeah. So how did Fred come into the picture? Fred Curry of Cinderella.
Fred, yeah, dude, Fred's such a good guy, man. So again, I was at the whiskey, and I've met a lot of these people just going to shows, which is so cool. It's kind of like how it was in the old days.
Yeah,
You were kind of in the mix, and that musicians met each other organically like that, which I
yeah,
think is fucking cool.
yeah,
It's like kind of the old days. There's a little bit left of that. So
yeah.
I would, I saw Fred at a show, and I introduced myself, and I go, my name's Theron, and he goes, I grew up on Theren Street. I'm like, what? Yeah, in upstate New York.
Wow.
So uh, we started talking, and I was telling him what I was doing, and I just threw it out there. I'm like, I'd love to have you on a song, man. That would be an honor. And Fred's a busy guy. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's
Right.
like, he does music for the Kings and for sports teams and TV, and um, so I didn't really think much of it. I sent him some songs, didn't hear back, and then I ran into him again, and he's like, oh, I was like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, I've been busy. I can't really remember what happened, but he goes, send him to me again. I'm like, yeah, of course, dude. I don't want to bug you. Like gives me his email, sent it to him again. And then he's kind of like, I'm busy. I'll see what I can do. We went back and forth. Cut to, I think it was about almost a year and a half later. I go to the Troubadour to see, Vicky Hamilton is?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
yeah. She managed Poison, GNR, Faster, all those guys.
Right.
And so she was putting on a benefit for one of her friends who was like a booker who had died. So it was like a benefit show for her. And at this show, man, it was crazy. You had Tammy Down singing. You had Fred Corey on drums, Slash, and Duff, and it was an all-star jam.
So you was at that?
I went, yeah,
Holy shit,
yeah,
dude.
and
I've been watching that on YouTube all week long. And
it's amazing.
when Steven come up on the stage
Yeah,
and Fred, I was just like, man, this had to be the show of all shows. Sorry, but I just
dude,
had to interrupt there.
I have chills thinking about how cool it was, man. And they played "Knocking on Heaven's Door," and you know, I was I so Billy Rowe from Jet Boy.
Yeah.
I reached out to him too, and he's a great dude. And we both grew up in San Francisco. We ended up going to the same high school, but I think he's like 10 years older than us. But we both grew up in the city. And so I met him a while back. Such a nice guy. And I hit him up and I'm like, hey, man, if you're in LA, I'm going to this thing. It's going to be an all-star jam. He's like, let's go. So I got him a ticket and we went together. And it was wild for me as a kid. Like they played Knocking on Heaven's Door, and it was, I don't know if it was Steven or Fred on drums, but it was Slash and Duff. And the reason they covered that song, right, was because of Todd Crew from Jet Boy.
Okay. Okay.
Died of a heroin overdose. And he had been hanging out with the Guns N' Roses guys. So I remember as a kid listening to a bootleg of them singing that song at the Marquee. And Axl goes, "This is for Todd Crew." And back then there wasn't Wikipedia, or we couldn't go online and figure out who Todd Crew was. So I did all my research. I'm like, oh, he was a guy in Jet Boy, and he died. And Axl was doing a tribute for Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Okay.
So anyway, cut to the tribute for the All-Star Jam, and I'm sitting there with Billy Rowe, and that was his bandmate, and they're doing Knocking on Heaven's Door, and I'm like, Billy, you should be up there too, man. It's like a trippy moment,
Yeah. Wow.
Um, but Fred, after the show, I'm standing there by the door. Fred comes out and he looks at me. He goes, "Dude, I'm playing on your record." Points at me, and I'm like, "All right, man, let's do it." So like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe almost a month now, he did the track and sent it to me, and I couldn't be happier, man. I
Oh,
couldn't be happier.
so
You know,
awesome.
so it's just persistence, like
That is,
so
man, that is so cool.
yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, it's, for your sophomore record and have all these special guests. And I think it should be a tip of the hat to you of these guys realize your songwriting ability and want to be a part of it.
Thanks, man. I like to think so that they like it enough to do it. Because like I said, I'm nobody, man. And just to have these dudes, like, it's surreal having them play on it and talking about how we're gonna do the song or what I'm looking for. Like when I was doing with Jason and he was singing kind of like some backup stuff and co-leading on some songs, just telling him kind of what I was looking for. And I'm like, this is a surreal moment. Hellacious Acres is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the all their albums,
Yeah. Yeah.
except maybe so yeah. So thank you. Yeah, it's definitely feels good to have my heroes,
Yeah.
playing on it. So.
Yeah. It's like I said, guys, you know, Theron sent me 5 tracks. They're amazing. I can't wait for everyone to hear it. Do you have any estimated guess of when you're wanting to get this thing out?
Man, I was telling myself by the end of summer. So I'm hoping maybe like September, October,
Okay.
it'll be all done. Yeah. The mastering and all that, and then I want to press vinyl. Um, I I got I pressed the last one on vinyl.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see. I'm blind as a bat. That's why I can't see. But I got the old hype sticker on there.
Love it. Love it.
So my buddy Tyler has a record label called Revolt Vinyl Records,
Yeah.
and so he's reissued some stuff, and he put this out on his label, and so yeah. And it what's cool too is did some album art and colored vinyl.
That's I can't wait to get a copy
So
because our,
yeah,
our mutual friend Jeremy, that you got to hang out with him and Anthony the past couple of weeks. So I was texting him today, and he had told me that he had talked to you, and he's already told me, he's got that. And I said, "Yeah, I know. I'm going to get one too, Jeremy."
I'm gonna get you one, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
So
definitely, if you can,
yeah,
if you can forward me some links where people can buy your physical media, and forward me all that stuff where we can link all of your streaming services. Um,
yeah,
I'd love to put all that
I'll
up
do that for sure.
because I
Thank
definitely,
you. Thanks.
yeah, man, I definitely want a copy of that album. And I'll buy album CD, I'll buy a T-shirt. I'm all about the support. And yeah, it was
Thank you.
absolutely. It's a great record. I can't beg you guys to go check it out. It's so much, so good, so good. And we can't wait for the second record. And are you based in
Thanks,
Hollywood
dude.
now?
No, I live in Santa Barbara,
Santa Barbara. Okay.
so it's like an hour and a half as the crow flies from Hollywood. But I
Okay.
go down there all the time. I love going to shows, and these guys aren't gonna be able to play that much. I mean, hopefully there's a solid decade of this, but
Yeah.
we're seeing some rock and roll casualties,
Yep.
and I want to catch this stuff before we can't anymore. Like
Yep.
I didn't
Yep.
get to see them back in the day. I wasn't old enough to go
Yep.
to clubs and stuff
Right.
to really go see the nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've said in several of the shows, if you're still out there and you love this stuff, go see them. It's not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there's I know Anthony was out there, with you guys a couple of weeks ago, and with the
Yeah.
Hollywood thing. Uh, Me and my wife's planning on coming the week after Christmas and do the whole week of shows at the Whiskey before the New Year's Eve thing.
Oh,
So
nice, dude. I'm gonna try to hit some. Yeah, I was just talking
cool.
to Anthony about that last night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Anthony's planning on going, maybe Patrick and Jeremy and several of us coming out. So we're going to make plans to be out there, and I can't wait to meet you and hang out.
You too. Absolutely, brother.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, man, send me some links where I can put it in this video and maybe get some of those records sold up and get everybody hyped for the second one.
Thanks, dude. I really do appreciate that a lot, man. Any help I can get with getting this thing out there and getting the word out is much appreciated. So
Awesome.
thanks, Jones. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. No worries. No
Yeah.
worries. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this little talk with Theren, and go check out 77 Shakedown. And like I always try to say, be nice, respect one another, don't be a dick. And as our brother Ricky Rocket always says, keep rock alive, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Appreciate it.